Well, welcome to this InterAcct software video demonstration. In this particular session we're going to be looking at a new software option that relates to the job costing module, which handles the quoting and invoicing of small repair jobs. Now, in other words, not large projects where you might be using the detailed estimating and quoting system. So it allows you to put in information to produce a quote, or if you prefer, go straight to doing a repair job invoice. So what we're going to do first of all is just work through the normal steps that you would if you're receiving an inquiry, doing the work and preparing a quote/invoice. So we're going to start off with the names database. I've already got a name in here. It's Blue something, I think, from memory. If I'll just type in that. Here we have Blue Pearl Properties. That's our client for today. And here's our client record, contact name, phone numbers and address and so on. And their various delivery site addresses would be here as well. In this case there's only one. And once you've created this screen, name and address, etc., you can go straight to menu number 8, which is where you can create a new job or inquiry. You can see we've got one here. It's already done, as you can see the status. It's a repair job. So let's just call this job up. I'll press enter to call it up. Here's our job details, site details, phone numbers, etc., some dollar values. And now where we're going to go is straight into job invoicing. And you'll see there's lots of different options for preparing a job invoice, and just one of those is the new what we call repair work invoicing. Actually, you can prepare a quote as well. So let's just go on there and I'll show you. Now, one job, in this case this repair roof job that we've got, repair work to roof and guttering downpipes, but you could have several different invoices, several different jobs that you're doing that over a period of time, so you don't have to close the job off, keep it open and do several jobs. Now I'll call this one up just to show you. Yes, this is kind of the invoice header screen, if you like. There's very little of these fields that are actually required as data entry. The contact name comes in automatically. You can put in a contract or purchase order number from the customer, particularly if it's coming from a strata manager company. This case the status is it has been invoiced, but you can initially start it off as a quote, and I'll show you one a bit later on. The basis is M, which stands for define the markup. In other words, we're defining a markup on this job, in this case of 25%, as you see here, but we can just use standard markups, which would use your normal charge rates for labour and those sorts of things. And that's about it. All these other figures in terms of a breakdown of the sales value here by labour, materials, subbies, sundries and equipment, they've all been entered in this lower menu here. So let's just work through this menu now, and I'll show you what you can key in. Firstly, a work description. It's just a free format area. You can cut and paste into this text box from outside the system if you've got text written somewhere else, maybe in someone's instructions. You can put in your labour timesheets. You can see here who's worked on what dates, and you can have time, normal time, time and a half, double time, and it works out the charge value automatically. So too with materials. And those might be materials that you have in your materials database, or they could also be just what we call non-stock. You can see here this question, is it stock? Which is just a free format where you can type in materials that maybe you buy in or indeed make. And it's got the costing there, of course. Subbies cost or trades, again that can be any number of subcontractors involved in terms of their costs, and those costs can either be a contract value or indeed a rate value, or indeed you can have a library of standard tasks that a subcontractor does for you where you've got contract rates. And in that situation all you'd need to do is type in the quantity and the system does the rest for you automatically. You get notes everywhere you go, and there's sundry costs. Now that could be external hire or a cost expense recovery such as glue and rubber collection here. I mean, whatever you like, there's just as many of these as you like. And this last one is where you're using your own plant and equipment to hire it out to the job. Okay, now once you've done that, you can do the last menu, which is to print the invoice and quote. This one, as I say, has already been invoiced, but we can have a look at this. There is a thing here called discount offer, which is a little bit of an option that says if you pay, you can get discount this amount if you pay by the expected payment date. And it shows on the invoice. I'll show you in a moment. Okay, so I'm just printing the invoice. Here it is. It's very quick. And it's just taken all that information that we've keyed in and produced it in a very nice, easy to read invoice with labour, materials, subbies, sundries and equipment hire, totals for each, quantities, not too much detail. I'll go through to the second page, you can see that. I just might move the slide bar down a bit so you can see the bottom a little clearer. Here we were just showing a subtotal plus GST and the invoice total, and it's saying here in red, if paid by 27th, take the prompt payment discount offer, and that's the net amount. And you can see here too, you've got the payment detail options, the signatures and direct credit sort of information, all ready to go. So that's an invoice. If I just go back one step and just show you the basis of creating another entry in the same job, in terms of a quote this time maybe. So to add, we can click on the green plus button or the plus button on your keyboard, and let's just say this one is a quote. So just press enter. What's the basis of the sell prices? Is it fixed margin or just using your standard margins? What's the contract basis? It's due and charges the option, and that's finished. It's done everything. You can see at the moment all the values are 0. As soon as we start to put in labour, let's just put a labour entry in. I'll just press enter to add a new one. The work date, I can just press enter. It will bring in the job date. Who's done the work? It's bringing up a list of employees, normal time, and a little note. Whatever you want to type, we have just said test, and that's put in an entry. You can see automatically it's just added that $500 there. Let's put another one. Worked on the 21st, and it's John Stevens, number 5 on the list. I'm just typing in the numbers here. I don't have to use the mouse if I don't want to. 4.5 hours. And of course, if I do have any time and a half, I can just click on them and say, oh, there was half an hour, time and a half. I'm just showing you here. Just changes the figures, obviously. Again, if we want to put in materials, very simple again. Just says, is it a stock item? And it defaults to it being a product item on your stock database. You can search on your products in the product database if you've got a materials database where it keeps all the costs of last time and purchased, etc. It's asking for a unit price, and let's just say we want to sell that at $6.50. Very, very simple. You can see now it's got materials, and so it is that we go on. If we want to do subbies, let's do an electrician this time. Electrical, the work date 22nd. You can actually nominate who the subby is that's going to do the work or has done the work. And now it's just brought up a list of standard tasks, and all we have to do is say, yeah, they had 3 of those and 4 of the others. Could be a long list of standard tasks that they're able to do, and you can see it just brought through those costs. And if I just bring that screen down a bit, there we are. You can see it's brought through the cost and sell prices to the trade. And if I escape back one more step, you can see here it's brought back those costs as well into the subbies and into the grand total. And now if we print the quotation, let's print it as of today's date. It works out the expected payment date given their payment terms, and I'll say no, don't invoice yet, just a quote, and we can just say plumbing work or electrical work. I'll type this in. I think that adds back to the list. Well, it can do if you wanted to. Anyway, so here we've done our quotation. It's just got the status as quote. Now we print the quotation, and here it is. It's just put in what the materials, the electricians, and again we should go through the next page. It will show us the summary and how to pay it, sign and approval. So it's a very quick and easy system to use. There is actually another estimating system that we've got here. It's been with us for a year or so. So again, where you can set up a number of work tasks, just downsize that a bit, and they can be attached to the job. In this case, listing them out. You give as many of those as you like. But now here we're not breaking down the labour by labour class. We're not breaking down the subbies. We're not breaking down the materials by each item. It's just in total. So it's an even simpler way of producing a cost estimate or quotation, if you prefer to call it that. So what that looks like, if I just print the cost estimate, you may have seen this already with under repair work. It's very simple breakdown here of the work, or it could be a work ticket like this. Another sort of report. Of course you can personalise these reports to suit. Just a breakdown of the costs. Alright, so that's where the repair task, if I just call one of these up, you're just putting in a total amount here. You're not breaking it down as we were in the other example by each individual material item or plant item or sundry cost. It's just an amount. So it's just showing you how, if what I just showed you under the repair work invoicing, if that's too detailed for you, I'll just call back the first one we looked at, the invoice, then where you're breaking down your labour by different people and dates, and materials by different items, and subbies by different trades, you can just put them in total. Anyway, hopefully I haven't confused you too much with so many different options. In most cases you can flag it so that certain jobs can have certain options on the menu and others don't see it.